Hey, hotties and thotties and friends and countrymen and women and country they thems. How's it going? It's obviously been a little bit of an extended break. We originally were going to take 2 weeks off because I went back home to Indiana. And I was going to make TikToks there with my grandma. And then we got there and I just was enjoying just like hanging out and not working. So capitalism didn't win. Like, I make money off this podcast. And then obviously the fires. The last 2 weeks in LA have been completely devastating, and we're definitely the lucky ones. If you hear any like banging and stuff going on, we don't really have a roof right now. So my landlord's up there trying to fix our very, very broken roof. But yeah, the LA fires have been absolutely crazy. It started with the winds. Like, we woke up and like it sounded like, because I've been watching Wicked and obviously Wizard of Oz a lot the last month. And so I was in my head, I'm like, it's the tornadoes. And like Ezra, of course, he's like a film guy, so he was like, twisters, it's happening. I mean, and kind of true, like climate change is really killing our city. But we woke up, it was just so windy, and me and Ezra were like, okay, let's like have a cute little day and make some soup. Instantly when we said that, the power went out. And I was like, you know what, like we'll just go over to our friend's house, like the power will be back. Like, it goes out, but it comes back usually quick. So we go to our friends and it starts to get like windier and windier. And like when you go outside, it would like feel like you're about to blow away. No, literally though, like you would open the car door and it would like pull you out of the car. Like when me and my friend Ellie would walk, you guys know Ellie should co-host a lot with me. We would have to walk as one. So the winds were scary, but I wasn't that freaked out. But then we started to get the fires and like we started to get really anxious. And I think after like 2 or 3 days of like, I think we were at 72 hours without power at that point. And our friend Ellie lives down the street. So we would like go to her house, come back with the cats, kind of go back and forth, but we had no power. So it was like honestly really, really scary, because it's one thing when you don't have power, but like the whole block of like where I'm at in North Hollywood like did not have power. So it was just so dark and scary at night. And like obviously all I do is watch Bravo, so I didn't know what to do at all. Not having power. And then the fires kept growing and growing and growing. And the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire at first wasn't really near us. Like, we're in the valley, like thought we were really safe here. But then it was just like growing and growing and growing. And I have insane amount of anxiety, like insane. Like when the fire started, like we packed our bags, made our plan. But like, I'm sure if you live in LA, you can probably skip this part because you had your own experience that was probably worse than this. But I'm just trying to share for people who don't live in LA what my experience was like. And so we weren't really sleeping at night because that's when the fires were growing. And so we would just kind of feel like we need to stay alert enough in case we had to evacuate. And it kept getting like, there's an evacuation order when the government's saying you need to leave, the fire's coming out. Then there's like an evacuation like flag saying you might get evacuated. And then there's like a red zone warning. And so we were in the red zone warning and we kept seeing it get closer. So we got, and then like we were all watching it on fire duty. I'm sure if you saw any maps from people in LA, it was from fire or watch duty. Producer Ezra, watch duty, right? Yeah, which is also amazing nonprofit. So if you're not in LA and want something to donate to, they're like a great one because they really like kept us safe during this time because we kept getting false evacuation notices like on our phones from the government, which was really, really scary. And so after a couple of those and just seeing how the way I'd freak out, we just decided to leave. We didn't leave LA. We left and went to Ezra's parents who live in more like central LA or mid city, I would say, which they weren't in a red zone. Like their zone was white most of the time. I think it got red for like a second and I was like, oh my God, do we need to keep going south? But then it was like fine. So we went there and, you know, it was really preliminary. Like we weren't evacuated, but I was just so terrified of all the people we saw who got trapped. And I'm telling this story because I also have to figure out the story because there's so much collective trauma in the city right now. But if you're someone that lost your home, your job, anything really, because this is such a huge devastation to so many people, just know everyone at Real Housecast, we are thinking of you. We are sending love to you. In the episode description, I'm just going to list out if you want to give money, if you have money to give, just some places I recommend. Yeah, and shout out to the firefighters. I've always like had such a thing for firefighters, but like now I'm like, I love you. I love you so much. So yeah, that's our LA fire story. We came back home 2 days and it's been interesting because my reaction to the fires was cats. All I care about is the cats. I took everything the cats have. Every box, every treat, every like possible thing they could need, want, or have. So the cats were covered. Now for myself, I packed 1 pair of underwear that doesn't fit me. It was like way too small. 2 pairs of sweats. They were both dirty. A razor and moisturizer. And that was it. No hairbrush. Oh, I brought my deodorant. But that was it. So it was intense. So Brittany evacuated and she went to Riverside. And she was like, I'm going to pack up all of like both of our important things that you missed. Which was like everything I like would have cared about. Like she took all the photos out of the frames of like photos of like my family, which I'm so glad she did. She took like all my Barbie dolls. If you guys don't know, Real House guests we love Barbies here. I have so many Barbies. And my mom got me this extra special Barbie this year. It's a Glinda Barbie from the year I was born. Like that edition. And I love Wicked. I love Barbie. And like I'm so glad she grabbed it because it's like a vintage Barbie. So if I would have like lost that, I would have been so sad. But I didn't. And now I feel guilty talking about it because so many people lost everything. That's what it is to be in LA right now. It's like we're have this like shared experience, but also like we also feel guilty for like because I didn't lose everything, you know? It's weird. It's really weird. And what's been kind of getting me through is just disassociating by watching Bravo. I mean, kind of. It's interesting too because the first couple days I did not want to watch Bravo when we got to Ezra's parents. Like I couldn't pay attention to it. I just wanted to watch musicals. But now as we're getting back into what this normal is, it really, honestly, this whole thing feels like grief. It really, really does. The only thing I can compare it to is like really grief when it feels like the world should stop, but somehow it's still moving. So yeah, let's talk. We're going to talk Housewives today, and we'll start with some Beverly Hills and finish with Salt Lake City. But just so you guys know everything I'm watching, because I like wanted to just, you know, do a solo episode to come back, review 2 episodes, and then just kind of go from there to New Year. So I feel like there are a lot of different fun things happening for Housecast. I did before the fires, Ezra and I watched the first episode of Orange County ever and like reviewed it and talked about it. And we made all these Bravo predictions. And he was editing it literally when we were evacuating. So that's going to be a vault podcast until further notice. So if one week you're like, this random episode, that's what it is. So for Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we're talking about season 14, episode 7. What the chuck? Okay, so it really opens up with the Viper Room. And it's in the midst of Dorit and Kyle just screaming, like veins popping out. Like, I felt like low-key they were about to like fist fight. Like, did you guys feel like that? I definitely felt like Dorit was about to like swing at her. But also, so they were screaming, veins are popping, but it also doesn't seem like either of them really care that much about what they're fighting for, if that makes sense. And then Garcelle asks at the wrong time to Dorit, she goes, so how are things, really? And I love Garcelle typically, but girl, read the room. Like, that was ridiculous. And it kind of felt like, did you guys see, I think maybe it was the Vice documentary where they talked about how like Housewives, like the producers will have like signs being like, drop the bomb, and they're holding it in those big dinner scenes. I wonder if there was a producer holding a thing to Garcelle, like, ask about PK. You know, do you guys know what I'm talking about? I think it was in the Vice documentary about like with Vicky and stuff. When Dorit goes, I'm not on display. I'm not on fucking display. All that was going through my head was the Melissa Gorga song, like, I'm on display, on display, on display. Like, it felt like so, like, meta. Because, you know, housewives can't talk about housewives. Unless they're housewives of their city. Like, they're not supposed to talk about housewives of other cities. They would say, my friend. So after the Viper Room, we go to Sutton's house, and she preps for a country club day with Kyle and Garcelle. But when Garcelle gets there, she's like, I'm not playing tennis, and she lies and makes up an injury. And I get it. Kyle's talking to Sutton though about the fight with Dorit, and she compared it to the fight she had season 1 with Camille, which I find that very comparable because I feel like both fights were about nothing. So they play tennis for probably like 5 minutes, and they're like, go tennis boy, bye-bye, leave now. And they sit down to gossip, which is, you know, obviously what they're really there for. And we start off with Kyle throwing some shade by asking if there's alcohol in the iced tea. Like, Kyle, everyone knows you don't drink. If there was alcohol in it, they wouldn't serve it to you. Like, no one's trying to get you drunk, you know? But then Sutton felt that shade, and she decided to throw it right back at Kyle, saying, well, Kyle, you've experienced infidelity before. And Kyle has referenced infidelity, but not clearly, not openly, said something about messages. And then Kyle was like, yeah, there was no infidelity. Like, it was some shade. It was truly, truly some shade. And then we see Erika going to the furniture store with her interior designer and Dorit. And Dorit basically tells her there that like Kyle feels secretive, and she doesn't like that it's like not being shared, the messages between PK and Kyle. She's just like, it's, you know, suspicious. But then we go to Bose's house, and she reveals she's getting surgery on her fibroids. A lot of respect for her for showing this on the show. You know, Real Housewives of Atlanta, we've seen Cynthia go through it. That's how like I learned about fibroids, and I think it's so good she's shining a light on it, you know? And she talks about the fibroids. One was as big as a grapefruit. Y'all, grapefruit are huge. They're so big. She also reveals that her and her boyfriend like to have a child together one day. So she needs to get the surgery so she can, you know, maybe carry a child. And then Bose also opened up being worried, like, if the surgery doesn't go well, like, if she can't have more kids, if that will change her relationship. And that really broke my heart because, like, it's not that she doesn't want to have kids. it's like she's 47 years old and it's harder on her body. So I don't know. Like, I get it. I know he wants to have kids, but it's like, if that was such a major priority in your life, why are you waiting until you're 47 to have kids? No offense. So then Kyle goes over to Bose's house after surgery and they talk about what happened at the Viper Room. Kyle says Dorit doesn't share things and Bose doesn't believe her because she's like, no, the first moment I met that bitch, she was like, hi, I'm Dorit. My husband's an alcoholic. We're separated and I'm fighting with my best friend. And here's everything else about me. Like, Bose is kind of like, no, she's the opposite. And Bose is like, she tells Kyle, she's like, look, Dorit just wants you to say like what's in the messages. And like, she just kind of like doesn't believe you. And Kyle goes, only a manipulative person would say that. It's like, girl, it's like Kyle went over there to try to get Bose on her side and Bose was like, I'm smelling bullshit now. I also love, as a newbie, Bose sitting in her bed and having the queen of, you know, the only OG left on Beverly Hills sitting on her bed, like asking, like, please like me. And then Kyle, like, tries to prove a point by pulling a photo from Dorit and PK and Mo hugging after the robbery. I don't get her point. Like, I don't get what point she's trying to prove, like, at all. Then the ladies, Garcelle, Kyle, and Sutton, decide to throw Erika a pizza party because Erika is complaining that no one threw her a fucking pizza party when she was getting divorced. So they're like, you know what? We're going to surprise her and we're going to take this bitch to Chuck E. Cheese. And Erika has no idea when she was going. But when they finally revealed it, the confessional of her saying, I do like Chuck E. Cheese, it just made me laugh. So Kyle talks about how they separated like very, very like slowly. And she says she still doesn't know what she wants. Erika talks about Tom going to trial. So when she's talking about him going to trial, he was found guilty. And if you're interested more in like any of the Tom Girardi like case, highly recommend the Bravo docket. They have a bunch of episodes. They had one that just came out. So good. The best part of the dinner though is when Garcelle goes, she's talking to Kyle about, Kyle's like, I don't know what I want to do with my life, like da 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 da. And Garcelle goes, if you want to be a lesbian, be a lesbian. And I love it because Garcelle is just saying what everyone else is thinking. Like, that is all. Erika brings up what Dorit said, and Kyle shows the messages from PK, and they are definitely not just jokes and memes. Which that's what she said it was. She was like, oh, me and PK just talked jokes and memes. It was not just jokes and memes. Garcelle then goes over to see Bose, and Garcelle says she hasn't been able to get to know Bose because Dorit is up her coochie. And Bose is like, why does no one like Dorit? Garcelle then tells Bose about the text, and Bose is like, what? Like, she is flabbergasted in the best way. And it ends with a confessional of Bose going like, Kyle lied. She's a liar. Kyle lied. Which I'm like, ooh, the heat, it's getting heated. So yeah, that's Beverly Hills. We're going to just jump right into Salt Lake City. I mean, the Bravo news is Paige and Craig broke up and my fucking city is burning down. So please, please, please donate to the fire department. Give your money. They need your money now. Quit donating clothes. Every place is good in clothes. Give to the fire department and other places that are helping everyone affected by the Eaton fire and the Palisades fire. Salt Lake City, though. I love how I go from talking about the fire to talking about our ice queens. Okay, so the opening is so strong. Okay, so it's Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, Season 5, Episode 16, when all is said and done. The opening, though, is so strong. I love how stylized it is. And we kind of get like an intro like we did for the beginning of the season. I really like how cohesive it feels as like an overall piece. And it opens with Meredith with an eye patch. And she says she has a scratch cornea and it is both pure comedy and drama all at once. Meredith is so monotone and hilarious. She's like, I'm sorry. I mean it. And then Heather tells, like, the plan is for everyone to go as an activity dressed as Lisa. And she says Lisa hates themes, but Lisa loves Lisa. So Lisa must love a theme where the theme is Lisa, right? And it literally makes Lisa speechless. Like, everyone is saying, oh, I love that. I love it. I love it. I'm Lisa Barlow. I love it. And they all start doing this impression of Lisa. And I feel so bad for the waiter at the restaurant because you can see he's like, what do you want? What do you want? Like, he's like dying. If that waiter sees this, let's talk. I would love to interview you. Everyone starts doing their Lisa Barlow impression. At first, I'm like, oh my God, this is so mean. Lisa loves it until Whitney, because Whitney's whole Lisa Barlow impression was she had tags still on. So yeah, Lisa and Whitney then start arguing, and they're like, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, da-da-da. Lisa has the best line. She goes, your gut is leaking, take a probiotic. Your gut is leaking, take a probiotic, bitch. And they're really going in on each other. They're like, you're lying about your business. You're lying about your marriage. You're blah, 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 blah. And then Brittany tries to get in there and Mary goes, shut up, Brittany. You recorded everything. And Brittany goes, I will never, ever recover from how you guys treated me. And she's like talking specifically to how Meredith yelled at her. And Brittany runs off like, oh, so dramatic. Like, you know, in the way that teenage girls run off, like wanting someone to follow them, that's the way Brittany runs off. And Angie and Lisa Barlow go to like comfort her. But Mary is pissed. She's like, what the fuck? How did Angie run off? Like, why is Angie running off after her? That's insane. Like, Angie's my girl. I don't fuck with Brittany. Why is Angie running after Brittany? And so why that's happening, they're like, okay, half the girls are going to go horseback riding and the other half are going to go make ceviche. I would go to make ceviche. I would never go horseback riding. And when they're doing the ceviche tasting, Angie keeps trying to make it about her being Greek, which, again, I feel so bad for the ceviche teacher. Like, it's just so corny. It's like, he's like, here's red onion. And she's like, yeah, we could use this for Greek salad. Do you know I'm Greek? And Mary is so mad. She's like getting more and more pissed. She's like, fuck Angie, fuck Angie, fuck Angie. And then they go to dinner. Half the girls made ceviche. And then for the horseback riding, these horses were scary, dude. I would like testy, terrifying, not calm horses. Terrifying. Like, I hope the producers were on standby because that low-key did not look safe. Look, horses are a lot bigger than we are and we cannot control them. Then each half of the girls come together and make a whole. All the girls then go to dinner at this like luxury theme park. Now, Bronwyn, I love you, girl. But this outfit, you look like a gay pride Big Bird in the best way and the worst way. I don't know. I love it. I hate it. It's a look we're seeing on Bronwyn. And then at dinner, Angie and Meredith decide they are on a good path. Like, she's cool. They're looking at each other, smiling. They announce they're in a good place. Mary is giving Angie the silent treatment. And Angie's like, I don't want to fight with you. Like, quit treating me like this. Like, Mary, I love you. What did... Because Angie doesn't know what she did wrong yet in Mary's mind. And then she, like, instead of fighting with her, she cries to her. She goes, Mary, I love you so much. Like, this friendship means so much. And that's why she's in the center snowflake, because she fights as hard and she's making up. That is, like, way more interesting. And it gets Mary to open up because she then talks about her abandonment issues and how she gets triggered because the way that her father abandoned her and her mother abandoned her and how it's hard for her to, like, have friendships. And they make up and they hold hands and they, like, cry about sisterhood. That's why Salt Lake City is one of the best Bravo shows. New Jersey, look, like, New Jersey is canceled because they couldn't have moments like this. They were gone. All those sisterly, loving moments were gone. Like, Salt Lake City delivers. But then Meredith brings out the Alibaba rumor. And Meredith says she spoke to the podcaster, which the podcaster's up and at him. I'm personally, I'm not going to say actually my thoughts on him and the whole thing, but if you're interested in his point of view, his name is Up and Adam. Meredith goes, she twisted his words and he's mad at Whitney. And then Whitney says Lisa feeds the blogs. And she knows because she reached out to reality Vonties herself, Monica Garcia. And everyone is immediately pissed and enraged. And like, they're like, da 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 da, blah, 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 this bitch. And Lisa Barlow goes, get your finger out my fucking face. Get your finger. Like, I'm like, oh my God, Lisa. Ah. And then Mary came in to defend Whitney. Like, honestly surprising, little girl. Like, I was shocked by that. And then Heather's like, oh, you know, because she's thinking like, this is probably our like last episode. I had a good monologue, you know, receipts, proof, timeline, fucking everything. And she's like, I have to give him another monologue. And she like goes on and on about how they should all like come together. And she has a point, but like, it just felt like her monologuing, not really talking. But then the craziest shit happens. Heather, she quits being right in the moment. She's like, you know what? We should all air out everything mean we've said. We should all find the meanest text message we've written about someone else here and read it out loud. Meredith goes, that's absurd. And then Mary goes first, and it's about Heather and about how success went to her head, and they have this beautiful mending moment. So it kind of, I think, like opens everyone up to the concept of like, you know what, we could just like, it's like the last scene in Mean Girls where they're like, let's all just air out all this shit about each other. So Mary Bronwyn's shit talk was way too intellectual for Brittany to understand. Her like text message she wrote about Brittany was like that Brittany trauma dumps and that she parentifies her children and trauma dumps on everyone she knows. And you could see Brittany was like, I don't understand what any of those words mean, but it sounds really mean. I love them both. They're both such great newbies. Then Angie reads her text about Bronwyn, and you can tell, like, it really, like, it hurts Bronwyn. Like, she scratched her where it hurts. Then Heather, her text message about Whitney really hit a bone. You could see like Whitney was not okay. Lisa read a text about Meredith, which was definitely not the meanest thing she's read or said, and everyone at that table knew that. It's like she was like, she called her garbage whore, like, and like that, the text she read was not that mean. Whitney reads a text about Lisa, and she brings up rumors of a threesome. Lisa is not okay. She flips out and she's like, I'm done. Like, she's like beyond like triggered. Lisa brings Angie into it, and kind of the way, do you remember like back a couple years ago on Jersey when Jackie was like trying to explain something to Teresa? She was like, it's like if someone said Gia was doing coke. She wasn't saying Gia was doing coke. She was like using a metaphor. That's what Lisa was trying to do to Angie. Angie was like, don't talk about threesomes with me and my man. And Bronwyn then is kind of like triggered because she's like, Lisa's reaction is way too big because she's also said stuff about my marriage, and I'm not flipped out like that. But it's like kind of, it hit the height and then it's coming down and Lisa's out. And then Meredith is like, I'm out too. I'm out. And the trip kind of ends on a sad note. And even sadder note is when Heather got up to leave, I noticed her tracks weren't blended. Like, look at it. Like, pause it. Look at the back of her hair. Like, it's just not blended at all. The reunion looks so good. I haven't been this excited for a Housewives reunion in a while because I feel like lately the reunions get overhyped a little and underdeliver, but this actually looks really good. The looks look amazing. I love that the husbands are involved. Why was the season so short? Andy, I wanted more Salt Lake City. Like, I feel like New York just had the longest season, and Salt Lake, we could have had another 2 or 3 episodes. I would have been okay with it, Andy Cohen. Well, this has been a fun episode of The Real House Guest of North Hollywood. I don't think TikTok will still be around by the time this video is posted. If it is, I mean, you could try to follow us there if you could access the app. Who knows how much longer we'll get to post. But I'm on Instagram. I'm on YouTube. What other apps are there? Tell me where to go. Let's connect. Let's be friends. Let's hang out. All right. Well, I hope you guys all have a lovely day, and sending love to you all.